and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Lindsay, product marketer at Zoho Vault. Today, we'll dive deep into Zoho Vault for end users. Joining me is Tanvir, our product expert, who will be presenting along with me. In the Q&A panel, we have Deepak, our engineering manager, Christopher, our head of customer success, and Ivan, our product expert. Before we get started, let's make sure everything is working. If you can hear me and see my screen, kindly give a thumbs up. Here's what we'll cover today. First, I'll give a quick walkthrough of Zoho Vault. Next, Tanvir will guide you through in-depth tour of Zoho Vault, including passwords, folders, configuring multi-factor authentication for added protection, browser extension installation and auto login to websites, personalization and themes, passwordless login and offline access. Finally, we'll end our session with Q&A. Feel free to post your questions in the chat box, or you can also write to us at support@zohovault.com. This webinar has been recorded and we'll be sharing the recording along with the deck in few days. You can always watch it on our YouTube channel at Zoho Vault Official at your convenience. Let's get started with the question. Why do we need a password manager? A massive data breach recently exposed more than 26 billion records, exposing sensitive information from companies like LinkedIn, Twitter, Adobe, and thousands of other organizations. And it's not just the big players. According to Verizon Data Breach Report, 43% of attacks target small businesses, and sadly, 60% of them shutting down within 6 months of an attack. By 2025, cybercrime is projected to cost around $10.5 trillion annually. And many of these incidents involve compromised credentials. Using the same passwords across websites, storing them on sticky notes, spreadsheets, or browsers, and uncontrolled password sharing will increase the risk of unauthorized access. We all know that the passwords are the first line of defense, even before multi-factor authentication and single sign-on. So if your password is weak or reused, even these additional security measures can be compromised. So now that we have understand why managing passwords is crucial, let's talk about how a tool like Zoho Vault can help solve these challenges. Zoho Vault is a secure password manager that safely stores, shares, and manages your passwords, cards, certificates, documents, and other sensitive information, and autofill them across websites and applications. Zoho Vault is compliant with data privacy and security regulations, GDPR, CCPA, HIPAA, ISO 27001, SOC 2 Type 2, and ENS. Let's quickly look into the security architecture of Zoho Vault. Zoho Vault can be accessed by browsers, extension, mobile, and desktop apps. When a user creates an account, they need to set a master password, and this master password is only known to them, and it will not be stored anywhere on our servers. Only the encrypted form of sensitive data will be stored on the data centers across the regions. The entire data will be transmitted over HTTPS, ensuring complete security and privacy. To learn more, check out Zoho Vault application security page. We have our data centers in Canada, America, EU, Saudi Arabia, India, China, and Australia. With Zoho Vault, you will get a complete password security wherever you go. You can access your Vault account from desktop, Android, iOS, and iWatch. Our browser extensions automatically logs you into your favorite websites, autofill passwords in a single click, and remember them all so you don't have to. We support popular browsers like Zoho's privacy-focused browser ULA, Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, Safari, Brave, Vivaldi, and Opera. Zoho Vault seamlessly integrates with various Zoho applications like ULA, Zoho Mail, Zoho Flow, Zoho Projects, Zoho People, Zoho Disk, and Zoho Directory. It also integrates with productivity suites, directory services, cloud backups, help desk, SEM services, and supports SSO over 100 cloud apps. You can also build custom integrations with our REST APIs. See how Zoho Vault stack up against other password managers. With Zoho Vault, you can store unlimited passwords, notes, and documents. Zoho Vault offers fine-grained password sharing and access control workflows, allowing you to securely share passwords with everyone. You can protect your entire online journey with our secure browser, identity and access management, and multi-factor authentication bundled with the app. And the best part, Zoho Vault seamlessly integrates with other Zoho applications and third-party applications. So you don't need to juggle between multiple platforms to get your work done. With Zoho Vault, you can stay in control with real-time audit trials and reports, monitoring every action in your Vault account and receive instant alerts for crucial activities. With Zoho Vault, experience the unmatched security and convenience with passwordless login. Access your Vault account with Zoho OneAuth or any other FIDO2 certified authenticators like Touch ID, Windows Hello, Passkey, or YubiKey. And to top it all off, Zoho Vault offers free migration and onboarding assistance. Check out what experts say about Zoho Vault. Zoho Vault named as a challenger and fast mover in GigaOM Radar and rated as one of the best password managers by top reviewing platforms. Interact with our product experts in person and get deeper insights about Zoho Vault at Zohoholics happening around the world. Stay on top of Zohoholic updates at zoho.com/Zohoholics. And make sure to visit us at Zohoholics closer to you. I invite you to try out Zoho Vault and let us know what you think. Please share your feedback on Gartner or any other reviewing platforms. Your insights are important to us and help us improve. Here's a quick link to download Zoho Vault across different platforms. Now, Tanvir will take it from here. I'll be on mute. Over to you, Tanvir.
Lindsay. Hi everyone, thanks for joining today's webinar. I am Tanvir, one of the product experts from Zoho Vault. So without any further delay, let's deep dive into how Zoho Vault can be effectively implemented for end users. So in today's session, we will be covering the following topics. So firstly, we'll go ahead with the Zoho account setup and master password configuration, followed by password and folder management. We'll also look into how a user can install the browser extension and perform auto login to websites using the same. Furthermore, we'll see how a user can personalize their Zoho Vault setup. We'll also see how a user can retrieve access to passwords in an offline mode using the offline access feature. We'll also see how a user can secure their Zoho account by configuring multi-factor authentication for added protection. We'll lastly conclude by explaining about the passwordless login to Vault. So let me share my screen. First step that the users need to perform here is when the super admins send them an invite, they'll need to accept the invite. When they accept it, they'll need to create an account by supplying their first name, last name, and configuring a password for the Zoho account. So I'm going to create one quickly. Say I'm going to sign up with the United States. I'm agreeing to the terms and conditions here, and I'm signing up for the account. So now, once the account is created, I'll be redirected to the Zoho Vault master password creation screen. So alternatively, users can be added into Zoho Vault from directory services like Azure AD or Google Workspace. So these users will be receiving an organization invite link, upon accepting of which they'll be redirected to the master password screen. So the master password, as we all know, is the key to encrypt and decrypt your password data. And the users need to ensure that they create a unique master password for their account. And it should also be strong and it should be non-guessable, right? So I'm going to be creating a master password now. Once I've created the master password, I'll also need to check as a user the consent form that the master password is not stored with Zoho Vault and it's only known to me. Let's get started. So the first step that the user needs to do while logging into Zoho Vault is to add passwords. So the web account, so that is the category which pops up when a user tries to create an account, create a password in the first place. So for an example, I'll just show you how to add a website for the Dropbox application. So here in the username and password field, users can enter the username or password information manually, or they can make use of our password generator, which allows them to generate strong random passwords. We also have a passphrase generator on top of this, which can be utilized. So this basically eradicates the need here for users to remember strong complex passwords. Add a password now. Also add the URL. If I want to make if I want to make any changes to the URL, I can edit the URL field. So there is also a note field wherein I can add sensitive information. We also have tags which can be used as keywords to fetch passwords easily. Now, in addition to the username and password information, certain websites, as an additional layer of security, require a time-based one-time password. So most of the websites have a security tab wherein the user can excuse me, configure the TOTP. Here, as you can see, when I select the Authenticator app option, I'll get the QR code, which can be scanned with the help of a Zoho Vault mobile app, or I can enter the TOTP secret key manually. So I'm going to copy it and enter it on the Zoho Vault TOTP section. So as you can see, the TOTP code gets generated with the help of the key that I copied from the website. Now I'll copy the code and enter it here for validation. Done with that. So here the TOTP configuration is completed. Now I'll move on to the additional fields. So if you want to add any field that you feel is necessary to the password form, I can add it and specify any value, and I also modify the type of field it has to be. You can also store attachments if you have any files to the password, and you can also add a description which basically depicts what the password is about, and I can save it. So now that I've saved the password, at any point in time in the future, the user will want to edit it as well. So I can also edit a password by clicking on the three dot icon here, or I can also click on the password to see the edit password icon here, the pencil icon that you see here that can be used to edit. And it's not just passwords that you can store in Vault. We have various password categories available to store different types of credentials. So let me address that. So as you can see, we have a category for every type of credential. So there is an address category for you to store your addresses. We also have a bank account category, which will allow you to store sensitive bank account information. We have a file store category, which will allow you to like upload any document, SSL certificates, digital certificates, or API keys, etc., that can be attached or uploaded. We also have a payment card category, wherein you can add your credit card details and also use our extension to autofill. You can also store notes using the secure note or any sensitive information. And as I just showcased you, we added it for the Dropbox. So for it can be used for any application or a website. So once the passwords are added, I can also mark it as a favorite password so that I can access it from the favorites tab. And if required, I can also delete the password. So I'll just add a password as an example and show you. I'm going to delete this password and move it to the trash section. So from the trash section, either the users can restore the password or they can completely delete it. So it basically acts as a recycle bin for you. Once I have created a password, we'll talk about folders. So folders basically come handy when, let's say, I have like 10 passwords that belong to a particular client application, and I want to easily organize or segregate as to which client the passwords belong to. I can create a folder and give it a name and add the passwords to it. Additionally, I can also create a subfolder of that parent folder at the passwords. So now when it comes to sharing of the passwords, so other members of Zoho Vault will not be able to see the password that a user has added unless they share it with them. And in order for the sharing process to get completed, we have a sharing handshake request that needs to be performed by the admins of the product. So users, when they start sharing passwords for the first time after getting added into the product, they will get a message that says they can start sharing the passwords of folders once an admin logs in to approve their sharing handshake request. So I'll just quickly approve the sharing. Moment. So this has to be performed by the super admins or admins of the product. They can do that by logging into Zoho Vault with a master password, or they can do it from the user management tab as well. So users will have to reach out to the admins to do this. And yeah, now that I have added a password and created a folder, it needs to be shared, right? So we have 4 access privileges or sharing permissions, as we may call it, to define how a password is being retrieved by the other members in the tool. So firstly, we have the one-click login only privilege, which basically doesn't allow the users to see the password in plain text. And the reason why we have given this name is because using the browser extension, the users can just log in to the respective credential by just one click. And we have the view permission, which will allow the users to see the password in plain text. Modify gives them the privilege to update it or make any changes it. And then we have the manage permission, which will allow them to share the password with other members or even delete it if required. So you can also include the subfolders when you try to share a parent folder by using the include subfolders option. Not only at a user level, if you have multiple departments, you can share it with them with the help of the user group option. And the same permissions are applicable for user groups as well. Additionally, we also have a third party sharing feature wherein on a one time basis, you can share a password with a third party or a contractor or a client, and they'll be sent a password link via email. And the access to that link is time bound. It can be revoked from 30 minutes up to 24 hours. So now that I have added the password folder and I've explained you about the sharing privileges, now we'll talk about how the extension can be installed for Zoho Vault and how you can perform auto login using the same. So to easily access the browser extension, the users can click on the My Profile section here. And as you can see, our browser extension tab is available, wherein on most of the popular browsers, we have deployed our extension on Chrome, Firefox, and there's also Zoho's very own native security and privacy first browser called as ULA. So I'll show you how this works. So I've installed the plugin. I'm going to get the consent, and I'll have to log in with the master password. So once I log in, all the passwords that have been added or shared with me will be available here. And in order for you to perform auto login, you just need to click on the respective website. So for an example, I'll just show you the Dropbox password that I just added. One moment. Just gonna click on the credential here. So there are 3 operations that are being performed here with the help of our extension. So there's going to be auto launch of the website, auto filling of the credentials, and auto submitting as well. So on top of the username and password information, if there is a TOTP code, that will also get filled by our extension, and you can log in to the website easily in just one go. Now, moving on, let's talk about how a user can personalize Zoho Vault according to their preference. So if the user wants to see their favorite passwords by default, they can enable this option to show the favorite passwords whenever they log in to the tool. If they want to change the language in which they want to display Vault to be displayed to them, they can choose it from the select your language dropdown. We also have an inactivity timeout. So after a certain period, the Zoho Vault will get locked out and users will be prompted for the master password. So be it on the web or the browser extension. So users can configure an option wherein they can define the activity, timeout activity, and it can be extended up to a week. We also have a dark mode or a night mode where users can use it. Also have themes available wherein according to a user's preference, they can choose the themes. They can also select the overlay, whether they need the sidebar or not, and they can also change the font. Moving on, we'll talk about the offline access feature. So users, if let's say, they are traveling or there are no network zone, they won't be able to access Zoho Vault because Zoho Vault basically needs an internet connection for you to retrieve passwords. So using this file, users can access the passwords that they have stored in the tool even when there's no network. So I'm going to download the file. And since this is an HTML file, it can be accessed on any browser. And it's going to be encrypted with the user's master password. And as you can see, it's a read-only file. So the password data will be available here. And if required, the passwords can be exported from here as well. Now, we will talk about how a user can secure their Zoho Vault account by configuring MFA, the multi-factor authentication. So again, the users will have to access the My Profile tab, go to the My Account section. So here they'll be redirected to the Zoho Accounts portal. They'll have to go to the multi-factor authentication, wherein they'll be given options as to what are the MFA modes which are available. So we have the Zoho One Authenticator app, which is Zoho's native authenticator app developed by our Zoho developers. We also have an OTP authenticator option, so you can use third-party authenticators like Microsoft or Google Authenticator. You can also set up YubiKeys and passkeys. I'm going to be installing the Zoho One app and show you how MFA comes into the picture when you log into Zoho Vault. One moment. Configure the MFA now. Now I'll show you by signing out of the account as to how I can log back into Zoho Vault. So I've signed out now, right? So if I'm going to click on sign in, I'll need to enter the email address information. One moment. Now, as you can see, I'm getting a push notification that has to be verified on the Zoho One app on my phone. So I'm going to validate the number which is displayed on the web UI, my One app. I've logged in. Now it will redirect me to the master password screen. Now, in addition to configuring the multi-factor authentication, you can also log into Zoho Vault using the Zoho One app and also machine authenticators like Windows Hello or Touch ID. So let me show you how that can be done. As you can see, we have two options here. There's the Zoho One mobile app. There's also the authenticator option. So firstly, I'm going to go ahead with the Zoho One mobile app. So I've enabled this option. I'm going to refresh the tab and you will see two options here. One will be the master password and on top of that, there's Zoho One. So now I'm going to click Zoho One. So again, I'll be getting a push notification on the One app. Once I've validated it, I've just got into the Zoho Vault account without entering the master password. Likewise, for the authenticator option, I'm going to be configuring Touch ID. I'm going to place my finger on the Touch ID on the Mac, and it will get added. Now I'm going to refresh the tab. And as you can see, on top of the master password and the Zoho One Auth option, I also get the authenticator option. And when I click on it, I'll be asked to validate with my Touch ID here, and I can get logged in. So here, without me needing to enter the master password, I've logged in to my setup. But one thing that the users need to keep in mind that the master password has to be created first in order for them to use these options. That's pretty much about our demo today. In addition to this, there's one more tab that I would like to showcase to you. So although certain options or functions like entering the master password or configuring the inactivity timeout can be performed by the users, the super admins can also enforce and take control over the master password policy and how a user can get logged out using the inactivity timeout. So we already have a pre-recorded webinar session for the admins. So if you would like to have a deep dive into the configurations performed by admins, you can very well access the link which will be shared on the deck in this webinar session. Thank you, guys. So over to you, Lindsay.
Thank you so much, Tanvir. Let's move on to the Q&A session. Feel free to post your questions using the chat box, or you can also write to us at support.
So I believe there are some questions, and most of them have been answered by Christopher and Ivan. Thank you, guys. There is some question about how I can move passwords out of my big long list into folders that I've created. So yeah, to answer your question, basically we have options wherein you can add passwords to folders. So once you have added a password, so I'll just give an example. Lindsay, can you make me the presenter? I'm not able to share my screen for some reason.
Yes, Tanvir.
When you add passwords, we have an option called as manage associated folder. So once you have added them or imported them into the setup, you can add or remove passwords using this option and save it. More on the password section, you will get options wherein you can directly add it to a folder. That answers the query. One more question by Ruth stating that they've logged into Vault and the browser extensions are uh, grayed out. So, Ruth, kindly ensure that you have logged into the extension using your master password. You need to, by default, the extension will be grayed out if you haven't typed in the master password. You will have to provide a consent form and followed by entering the master password. There's one more question. Will you need a license for each external user that is invited? So, thanks for raising the concern here, Peter. So, you will need a license for adding an internal user into Vault. If you want to share a password with an external user or a third party, there is no license required for them. One more question by Paul. How can I import all passwords from Dashlane to Zoho? So, so to answer your question, Paul, so we have ready-made import templates available. So you can try importing passwords from Dashlane as well. So you will need to export the JSON file from Dashlane. That is the current format that we support. You just have to upload the file and get your passwords migrated into Zoho Vault. That addresses your concern. One more question, could we watch this by ourselves later? Yes, the recording of this webinar will be shared to you, Joes, and you can also visit our webinars webpage of Zoho Vault, or you can also subscribe to our Zoho Vault YouTube channel. You will find the recording of this session there. There's one question by Dan regarding the TOTP issue. Sure, Dan, you can drop us an email to support@zohovault.com as to which website are you referring to for the TOTP issue. We'll have that analyzed by our development team and address your query there.
Thank you, Tanveer. Thank you, team. We hope we've covered everything. We'll wait for 2 more minutes for any final questions. Feel free to post your questions in the chat box, or you can also write to us at support@zohovault.com.
There's one more question about a security breach. So, Sergio, this product has been there since 2013, right? So it has been like more than 10 years now, and since its inception, we do not have a history of a data breach as such. Yes, to answer Mark's question about Zoho Vault for end users is not listed in the recording list. Yes, it will be added to the recordings list in a couple of days, Mark. Please bear with us until then. By any chance, if at all any questions have been left out, you can always drop us an email to support@zohovault.com. We'll be happy to address them for you. If the members has asked a question about what is the free fee for Zoho Vault when you're not a Zoho One client. Uh, yeah, Rusty, you can drop an email to our sales team at sales@zohocorp.com if you want to know about the pricing and commercials for Zoho Vault. They'll help you with a curated price code depending on the edition and the number of users that you choose.
Yes, we've covered pretty much everything. Let's move on. Let's quickly look at what's new in Zoho Vault. Zoho Vault desktop app for Mac OS. Experience the full range of Zoho Vault's feature on your Mac OS desktop with our new app. You can download it directly from App Store. Multi-account support. Seamlessly manage both your personal and work accounts with multi-account functionality. Secure notes. Store secure notes alongside your passwords for quick access to sensitive data. You can use secure notes for everyday snippets, recurring reminders, or even one-time trip details. Login activity report. Stay on top of security with real-time insights into user extension and browser logins, including tracking failed login attempts. Passcard links. Share account details securely with passcard links, offering a complete view of an account for authorized users. You can use a passcard link in project documentation to specify project-related account details. Master password audit. Enhance your account security further with master password auditing. Monitor successful and unsuccessful logins, as well as biometric authentication using master password auditing. In addition to Zoho OneAuth, users can now easily unlock their extensions with popular authenticators like Touch ID, Windows Hello, Passkey, and YubiKey. Geolocation restriction. Admins can now restrict access to Zoho Vault app based on geographic location, enhancing both security and compliance with regional regulations. Payment card management. Easily manage and scan payment cards, allowing for quick refill of card details. You can secure your entire online journey with our security solutions. With Ola, you can access the internet without sharing your personal data with advertisers. Log into your work devices and business applications securely with Zoho Directory. Manage the passwords of shared accounts, cards, documents, software licenses, and other sensitive data with Zoho Vault. And finally, add an additional layer of security with multi-factor authentication for crucial accounts using Zoho OneAuth. As you evaluate a password manager for your business, you will have a lot of questions related to privacy, security, support, pricing, and many more. We are here to simplify this tedious process. Check out our evaluation page for stress-free password management experience. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Zoho Vault Official for tips, tutorial, product updates, and more to help get you the most out of Zoho Vault. Thank you for attending today's webinar. For further queries, feel free to reach out to us at support@zohovault.com and follow us on LinkedIn, YouTube, and X. Thank you.